He asked for a divorce after 46 years of marriage. 103-year-old's lessons every woman learns too late. Introduction: the unspoken wisdom of a century. Imagine living through 46 years of love, trials, commitment, and everything in between, only for it all to crumble when your spouse asks for a divorce. After nearly half a century of shared experiences, the request feels like a betrayal. But as shocking and painful as it may be, a woman of 103 years shares a wisdom many women often realize too late. Her voice cracks with age, but not with the weight of regret. Instead, there is a deep well of understanding that only time can foster, a realization that the things we believe matter most in marriage, love, and life might not be what sustains them after all. So, what are these lessons? Why do so many women learn them only when it's too late? And what can we gain from the journey of someone who has walked through nearly a century of life, love, and heartbreak? Her story isn't just about a divorce after 46 years of marriage. It's about empowering every woman, young and old, to see life differently before it's too late. The moment of disillusionment. The shock of hearing the words, "I want a divorce after 46 years" doesn't merely break a heart, it shatters an entire lifetime. The painful truth. Often, women think that longevity equals stability. If a marriage has lasted decades, it must be unshakable, right? Well, this 103-year-old story is a reminder that the deeper issues within a marriage, or life in general, can take years to bubble to the surface. Her journey teaches us one profound truth. Emotional complacency can rot the foundation of any relationship, regardless of how many years it has endured. The silent destroyer, neglect. One of the lessons she wished she had learned earlier is that neglect, not conflict, is the true destroyer of marriages. Many women spend years tending to their partner's needs, their children, their homes, their careers, but often forget to tend to themselves and their emotional needs. As women, we are natural nurturers, always putting others first. But what happens when we leave ourselves last for too long? We become emotionally exhausted, distant, and lost. And eventually, that neglect returns to us in the form of disconnection. From ourselves, from our partners, and from the life we once cherished. Self-worth is more than just a concept. The old woman recalls, with tears in her eyes, the many times she stayed silent when she should have spoken up, the moments she bent instead of standing firm, and the years she lost trying to make someone else happy at the cost of her own joy. Too often, women tie their self-worth to their relationships. We forget that our value exists beyond what we do for others. One of the greatest revelations she shares is that self-worth is not something that anyone can give or take away from you. Something you cultivate from within. And when we fail to do that, we lose ourselves in the process. In her wisdom, she encourages women to nurture their own spirits, to know themselves deeply, and to love who they are before seeking validation from anyone else. For her, this lesson came too late, after decades of bending until she nearly broke. Love is more about giving than receiving. In many ways, love is not the romantic fairy tale dream we grow up believing it to be. It's not just about passion or even companionship. After 103 years, she learned that love is about consistently giving, without keeping score. Not in a way that depletes us, but in a way that enriches both parties. Too often, women give in hopes of receiving something in return. Affection, attention, or validation. But this type of giving is transactional, not unconditional. The 103-year-old reminds us that real love requires us to give freely without the expectation of something in return. But here's the catch. We must also ensure we give to ourselves. Many women give and give until they are empty, believing that their worth is tied to their capacity to self-sacrifice. But as she tearfully admits, when there is nothing left to give, love can become resentment. And when that happens, it's too late to turn back. The importance of reinventing yourself. One of the most powerful lessons she learned too late is the importance of continual self-growth. She admitted that after her children were born and her marriage reached a place of comfort, she stopped reinventing herself. She became just a wife, or just a mother. The danger in this, she says, is that when life changes, and it always does, you no longer know who you are. When her children grew up, and her husband began to drift away, she realized too late that she had lost herself. She urges women to never stop growing, learning, or exploring who they are. Reinvent yourself continuously. Take on new hobbies, meet new people, challenge your thinking. The moment we stop growing, life begins to feel stagnant, and that's when discontent seeps in. Emotional transparency. Another major lesson she reflects upon is the need for emotional transparency in a marriage. So many women hide their true feelings for the sake of peace, thinking that holding back will avoid unnecessary conflict. But in reality, withholding emotions builds walls, not bridges. She learned after many years that expressing your truth, even when it's uncomfortable, is the key to sustaining a healthy relationship. Silence in this context is not golden, it's destructive. The divorce request after 46 years was partly because of emotional distance. She had stopped being vulnerable and had withdrawn into herself. She confesses that the fear of confrontation held her back from having difficult conversations, and that silence eventually led to estrangement. The 103-year-old's lessons every woman learns too late. Lesson 1. Don't confuse longevity with success. It's easy to assume that the length of a marriage reflects its success. But longevity does not always equate to happiness or fulfillment. A relationship can endure for years, even decades, while both partners grow apart internally. The key is not to focus on how long a marriage lasts, but how healthy and fulfilling it is. It's about quality, not quantity. Positive affirmation. I deserve a relationship built on mutual respect, understanding, and growth, no matter how long we've been together. Lesson 2. Speak up for yourself, always. One of the most critical lessons she learned too late is the importance of advocating for yourself. Too often, women stay quiet for the sake of keeping the peace or out of fear of confrontation. But silence leads to resentment, and resentment leads to the breakdown of connection. Question. Why do I stay silent when I need to speak up? How can I use my voice to express my truth? Answer. I am learning that my voice is powerful, and I deserve to be heard. Each time I speak my truth, I am honoring my worth. Lesson 3. Take care of yourself first. Self-care is not selfish. It's essential. Many women spend their lives taking care of others while neglecting themselves. The result? They become emotionally, mentally, and physically drained. She emphasizes that taking care of yourself is not a luxury. It's a necessity. If you are not whole, you cannot give to others fully. Positive affirmation. I am worthy of love, care, and attention. I honor myself by taking time for my well-being. Lesson 4. Never stop growing. One of the deepest regrets this 103-year-old has is that she stopped growing after a certain point in her life. As women, it's easy to become complacent, especially when our lives are filled with the roles of wife, mother, and caregiver. But when we stop growing, we lose touch with who we are at our core. Growth should be a lifelong pursuit. Question. How can I continue to grow and evolve, no matter my age or circumstances? Answer. I commit to exploring new passions, learning new skills, and constantly evolving into the best version of myself. Lesson 5. Don't let fear hold you back. Fear is often the invisible force that keeps us from living our fullest lives. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of change. It can paralyze us into staying in unhealthy situations for far too long. The elderly woman admits that many of her choices were influenced by fear, and she learned too late that courage often brings the most profound rewards. Positive affirmation. I choose courage over fear, and I trust that by stepping into the unknown, I will discover the life I am meant to live. Lesson 6. Emotional honesty is a lifeline. Being honest with yourself and your partner about how you feel is vital. Too often, women suppress their emotions for fear of rocking the boat. But emotional transparency is essential for any healthy relationship. You cannot build a lasting connection on a foundation of silence. Question. How can I cultivate emotional transparency in my relationships? Answer. I honor my emotions and express them with honesty, knowing that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. Lesson 7. Don't wait until it's too late to prioritize yourself. The elderly woman shares that it wasn't until she was much older that she began prioritizing her own needs and desires. By then, much of her life had already passed her by. She urges women not to wait until they are older to prioritize themselves. The time to live your best life is now. Positive affirmation. I am worthy of living a life that fulfills and nourishes my soul, and I begin today by choosing myself. Lesson 8. Love is a choice, not just a feeling. One of the hardest lessons she learned is that love is not just a feeling, it's a choice. Every day you must choose to love, even when it's difficult. Feelings can fade, but love, as a conscious decision, is what sustains a marriage or relationship over time. Question: how can I choose to love more deeply and intentionally each day? Answer: I commit to choosing love, even in the hard moments, and nurturing my relationships with intention and care. Lesson 9. Boundaries are essential. Many women feel guilty about setting boundaries, believing it makes them less caring or loving. But boundaries are an essential part of any healthy relationship. Without them, resentment builds and relationships deteriorate. Boundaries are not about keeping people out. They're about ensuring that the relationship is based on mutual respect. Positive affirmation. I honor myself by setting healthy boundaries, knowing that they create space for more love and respect in my relationships. Lesson 10. Gratitude is the key to happiness. As she reflects on her life, the 103-year-old woman shares that one of the greatest lessons she's learned is the power of gratitude. Even in the most difficult moments, finding something to be grateful for can shift your perspective and bring peace to your heart. Question: what can I be grateful for today, even in the midst of my challenges? Answer: I choose gratitude as a daily practice, knowing that it opens my heart to more joy and abundance. Conclusion: the fundamentals every woman needs to know. The story of a 103-year-old woman, whose marriage crumbled after 46 years, is not just a tale of heartbreak. It is a powerful reminder that the most important lessons in life and love often come too late. Her wisdom, born from a century of living, can empower women to see their own worth, to speak up for themselves, to love deeply, and to live fully without fear or regret. Her final message is simple but profound. Don't wait until it's too late to learn these lessons. Take them to heart now. Love yourself fiercely, live courageously, and remember that you are worthy of a life filled with love, growth, and joy. Each day is an opportunity to rewrite your story. You have the power to change the narrative, to learn from the past, and to step into a future that reflects the truth of who you are. Positive affirmation. I embrace the lessons of those who have come before me, and I choose to live my life with intention, love, and wisdom. Kindly subscribe, like, follow, comment, and share.